When we talk about the true legends of horse racing, they usually fall into a couple of, established categories. You have the champions defined by just utter crushing dominance. Think of the deep impacts of the world.
Right. And then you have the ones defined by their charisma.
Yeah.
The underdogs who just stole everyone's hearts.
But then you have a horse like Tosen Jordan.
Yeah, he doesn't really fit either of those molds.
Not at all. Our subject for this deep dive, well, he earned his status through a much tougher, much more complicated path. We're talking sheer, grinding durability.
And it was mixed with this volatile brilliance.
Yeah.
His whole career is just a roadmap of contradictions.
A total marathon, right. Constantly derailed by injuries, a difficult temperament.
And yet, right in the middle of all that chaos, he delivers this one G1 performance that was so shocking, so fast, it's still one of the greatest upsets in modern Japanese racing.
So today, we're diving into the sources to unpack the legacy of this warhorse, this gritty, unpredictable, and just ridiculously tough racehorse.
We are talking about Tosen Jordan, the Iron Warrior, who, for one moment, became an absolute supernova.
Let's start with the expectations, because he was never supposed to be an underdog, was he?
Oh, not at all. He was born in 2006 with a pedigree that didn't just suggest greatness, it basically demanded it. He had the complete blueprint.
And that blueprint starts with his sire, Jungle Pocket.
A winner of the 2001 Japanese Derby. That alone puts you in the elite tier.
But it was also on the damn side with every whisper.
Right. She brought in the blood of Northern Taste, who was one of the most influential broodmare sires in the history of Japanese racing, period.
Okay, hold on. For anyone listening who might not track bloodlines that closely, why is broodmare sire so important? What does that mean?
It's everything. I mean, the female line so often dictates the durability, the temperament, that deep-seated stamina. And Northern Taste was just famous for passing on those exact traits. So Tosen Jordan was seen as this genetically robust athlete built for the classic distances.
Which would explain the price tag.
A staggering one. He sold for 170 million yen at the select sale.
Wow. That's an enormous investment. And it carries this almost impossible pressure to deliver, immediately.
Right. To deliver a Derby title. That pressure defined his early life.
And what about the name? Tosen is the owner?
Tosen's is the owner's name, yeah. But the Jordan part, supposedly inspired by Michael Jordan, just adds another layer of that elite expectation.
Even if the sources joke it might have been about a wine brand.
He still carried the name of an icon.
And he started strong enough to justify it all. After a pretty modest debut, he ripped off 3 straight wins.
And then followed that with a strong second in the Kyoto Sushinhai, a G3. The path to the Japanese Derby looked wide open.
He was right there on the classic trail.
And this is where the story completely pivots.
Yeah.
It goes from expected champion to gritty survivalist. Just as the biggest races were coming up. Disaster.
He developed cracked hooves.
The dreaded cracked hooves.
That sounds bad, obviously, but just how significant is that for a top-tier athlete? Is it career-threatening?
It's both. For a thoroughbred, their hooves are everything. Cracked hooves often signal poor conformation, brittle quality. It leads to chronic pain.
So they can't train properly?
Not on hard surfaces, no. You can't carry speed the same way. It's an injury that requires long, really complex rehab.
So he didn't just miss one race, he missed his entire classic campaign.
His 3-year-old season was over after just 3 starts. All those Derby dreams just gone.
And this wasn't a one-off thing, was it?
No, this became the chronic issue. It would plague him for his entire, very long career.
So the price, the pressure, the pedigree, it all just led to this huge disappointment right when he was supposed to become a star.
He had to start all over again. He had to rebuild his reputation completely from zero.
So he misses the biggest races of his young life. But unlike so many horses who just never come back from that kind of setback, Tosen Jordan was different.
He's built on a foundation of iron.
Yeah.
His 4-year-old season was this remarkable comeback story.
And he didn't return timidly. He spent that year just climbing the ranks.
He won the Isaribi Stakes, then the Ireland Trophy, and then he secured his first major victory in the Copa Republica Argentina, a G2.
So you could see that Jungle Pocket influence really starting to emerge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This was a powerhouse middle-distance runner who just thrived on staying sound long enough to get on the track.
By the time he was 5, he'd matured into a full-fledged G1 contender. He won the American Jockey Club Cup and the Sapporo Kinnin, both G2s.
These are incredibly competitive, prestigious races. He'd confirmed he belonged at the peak. He was a known threat.
He was still frustratingly inconsistent, wasn't he? He'd often just fade in G1 company.
And that inconsistency is so key to understanding the setup for the 2011 Tenno Sho Autumn.
Okay, let's set the scene for everyone listening. This is the race that defines him. Heading into it, what was the feeling? Who were the big names?
Tosen Jordan was barely on the radar. He went off as the 7th favorite.
Only 7th?
Yeah. The public, the experts, they were all focused on bona fide superstars. You had Buena Vista, a multiple G1 winner, the reigning queen of Japanese racing.
And Dark Shadow.
A very highly respected and consistent runner. People respected Tosen Jordan's G2 ability, but feared, no, absolutely not.
Nobody was ready for what was about to happen. That race wasn't just a win. It was an explosion.
It was pure, unrepeatable genius. He flew across that 2,000-meter Tokyo turf track in a time of 1.56.1.
56.1. That's the number that cements his immortality.
It really is.
Because that time didn't just beat the field, it completely smashed Vodka's previous race record.
By a full 1.1 seconds.
1.1 seconds. In a top-level G1, that's a seismic margin. I mean, how do you even explain that sudden burst of speed?
You almost can't. It's like on that one day, the stars just aligned. His physical condition, his mental state, which was usually so volatile, it all came together.
He just ran a perfect race.
He was on an absolute rail speed wave. The run was so fast, so flawless, it was almost defying biomechanics.
And the context around that record is just staggering. It stood for 12 years.
For over a decade, Tosen Jordan's performance was the measuring stick for every other champion in that race.
Until Equinox.
It took the might of Equinox, maybe the greatest racehorse of the modern era, to finally break it in 2023.
And what's fascinating is that moment of brilliance. It was the first G1 win for his owner and for his jockey, Nicola Pinna.
Yeah, who rode him to perfection. It was just this huge emotional breakthrough for the whole team.
It's the kind of performance that inspires those lines you read in the sources, something like, "No one knows, he was just on."
It was a moment of pure genius that just defied all the logic of his career up to that point.
After a performance like that, you'd expect a horse to just enter this period of sustained dominance.
You would.
Yeah.
But that leads us right into the third and maybe most defining feature of Tosen Jordan, the massive fluctuation that followed.
He became defined by that cycle of setback and comeback. Those fragile hooves were a constant problem, leading to wild inconsistency. But here's the part that I find interesting. We call him the Iron Warrior, even though he was chronically injured. That name implies something else, doesn't it?
It does, precisely. The iron refers to his mental and physical will to keep returning to the fight. He didn't just drop off a cliff after his peak.
He kept delivering world-class performances while managing those debilitating foot issues.
He just refused to let the pain define him.
And his resume proves it. He was second in the Japan Cup at age 5, right after that Tenno Sho run.
Then he moves up in distance and finishes a stunning second in the Tenno Sho Spring at age 6. He was competing and placing against the absolute best in the world.
The durability is just, it's insane in modern racing. Most elite horses are retired by 6. Tosen Jordan finished 3rd in the Japan Cup at 7 years old.
He finally retired at 8, after a career that spanned 6 full seasons of top-level competition. That kind of longevity, given his chronic pain, that's why he's the Iron Warrior.
But that longevity came at a cost. His physical resilience was matched by this notorious mental stubbornness. He had an intensely difficult personality.
Oh, he was famously difficult to manage. The sources call him temperamental, pushy, and, my favorite, the boss of all horses at the Ritto Training Center.
He sounds like the star athlete who just causes headaches for the whole organization.
Exactly. I mean, imagine managing a champion who's actively hostile to his stablemates.
Right. He constantly picked fights with the younger, really powerful Gold Ship,
who was 3 years his junior, but apparently didn't appreciate Jordan's need to be the alpha. It was this intergenerational stable rivalry fueled by pure belligerence.
And that difficulty must have affected his performance on the track.
Of course. You can't train a horse to its peak if it's constantly fighting its handlers or getting distracted.
That unpredictability, the mental war he was waging, it's all proven by one shocking statistic.
The jockeys.
Tosen Jordan cycled through 17 different jockeys in his career. 17. That number is just astonishing for a top-level G1 horse. What does that tell us?
It tells us riders found him extremely difficult to figure out. He wasn't consistently obedient.
So you never knew which version you were going to get.
Exactly. The genius 1.56.1 version Or the stubborn gate rejector. A horse that goes through that many jockeys is one that's actively fighting instructions.
Yeah.
It was a price of his temperament.
So if we step back and look at the whole picture, Tosen Jordan is just a complete paradox. Expensive but inconsistent. Injury-prone, but he lasts until he's 8. Temperamental, but capable of terrifying brilliance.
He was a late bloomer who really only hit God mode a few times. But when he did, he was unbeatable.
His story isn't about that smooth, predictable perfection we look for.
No, it's about sheer, gritty resilience. About overcoming setback after setback. He was, at his core, a warhorse.
But the story continues after the track. When he went to stud, he carried this massive genetic significance. Why was he so valuable to breeders?
This is a really crucial point for Japanese racing. Tosen Jordan had one extremely rare trait.
Yeah.
He had 0 Sunday silence blood. At all.
And for context, Sunday Silence and his descendants have just utterly dominated Japanese racing for decades.
Right. They infuse speed and stamina everywhere. But the problem with that kind of dominance is genetic stagnation. Inbreeding depression.
Breeders needed an outcross.
Desperately. Tosen Jordan was this indispensable opportunity, a clean slate, a chance to diversify the gene pool without sacrificing that world-class quality from his jungle pocket and northern taste lines.
So he was seen as key to the future health of the entire breed.
He was.
So with that pedigree value and that undeniable speed record, did he succeed as a sire?
Sadly, the results were modest. Despite all the hopes, by 2021 his best performers were only 3 regional-level stakes winners.
So his physical toughness and that temperament just didn't translate.
It seems not. Sometimes that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
His ultimate contribution is historical, not genetic.
His story is about the fight, the grind, and that one lightning strike of a perfect race. He never surrendered.
He left fans with this complicated cocktail of emotions, frustration from the inconsistency, confusion about the temperament.
But also immense joy from the wins and pure awe from that single record-shattering moment.
He really redefined what it means to be a champion.
Tosen Jordan taught us that, winning constantly isn't the only path to immortality. It makes you wonder, if a horse achieves legendary status with a single, unrepeatable supernova moment amidst years of struggle, that one flash of untouchable speed, does that single peak maybe shine brighter in our memory than a whole career of reliable dominance?
What does he teach us about the true value of persistence over perfection?
A fundamental question about legacy, and one worth contemplating as you continue your own exploration.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more.